Hello everyone, William Johnson here. Today I'm going to do something a little different. It's been a while, it's been several weeks now since I've uploaded a Saturday morning video, and I am going to get back to that. And this video series is going to be part one of a three-part series that will be uploaded hopefully today, tomorrow, and as well as Monday. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. It might be something like today, Monday, and Tuesday, but hopefully we'll be able to get these up in the next few days. So today is not going to be a percussion tutorial per se, specifically, and not specifically music related, but it is, since music encompasses the mind as well as the body, and the technical side as well as the more abstract, ethereal, and esoteric part of the industry as well. So I've had some things kind of going on through my mind that I wanted to upload, and like I've been started doing the product reviews as well as just some music videos, some 3-minute music video series. But this is something different. This I wanted to kind of put a video up to talk about the mental side of playing music, of composing, of coming up with different rhythms, of applying different rhythms and genres within styles and various musical contexts. So the last several weeks have been very busy with some projects with other artists, concerts, also working with a local high school marching band, which was a blast and something that was near to my heart. And so now I'm back in a season where I'm focusing on my music as well as some recording projects and other things going on, some gigs, and also playing in my own church as well as some other churches that are in the region and with this particular region where I live. So I have a new album coming out, and I'm really excited about that. I've been taking some time to focus on that, and hopefully by sometime this winter, the end of winter, perhaps even the beginning of spring, I will have my 4th solo album that's out. If you didn't know and you've been watching my percussion tutorials or my tutorials in general or some of the other videos, I do have music that's out. You can check out williamjohnsonmusic.com and you can learn a little bit more about my music. But anyways, I do have a 4th solo album coming out, and I'm really looking forward to that and excited about that. I'll have a separate video talking about that. But today, what I wanted to talk about was something that took place in my own particular life, and that has really set me on this journey of what really matters. So in this 3-part series, I'm going to talk about things that really matter, focusing on what really matters as opposed of sometimes what we want or what we think that's important in terms of popularity and in terms of perspective of success. So today are things that really matter, and I'm going to tell you a little story about something, just my own personal life and experience. And then we're going to also talk about the smoke and mirrors aspect when it comes to music, and these things can be applied to anything in life really, as well as smoke and mirrors, as well as the grass is greener on the other side, as well as the power of inspiration. So these 3 things that matter, focusing on the things that matter, the smoke and mirrors or grass is greener on the other side syndrome, or however we qualify that, as well as the power of inspiration, using the power of inspiration, tools of inspiration. So years ago, I was in the Air Force, United States Air Force, and within the Air Force, you have enlisted and officer ranks, and I was in the enlisted side. And before you go into become a non-commissioned officer, you go through different ranks, through different ranks. You go through different scenarios and different training to prepare you for leadership roles, various leadership roles. So before I became a non-commissioned officer or a sergeant, staff sergeant in the Air Force, I went to what's called a leadership school. And within this leadership school, you have, depending on the size of the school, of the people within that are getting ready to go into this next phase of leadership, it may be broken into different classes. So my particular group or school or class was broken into 4 or 5, I don't remember exactly, but I believe it was either 4 or 5 specific classes. And then there was a number within each class. So say it could be 10, it could be 12, it could be 15. Usually, I think mine was around 12. And so there were 4 or 5 different classes of 12 groups of airmen. So 4 classes or 5 of 12 or 15 each within each class. And that particular group would go 4 to 6 weeks in that class and then graduate, and then they would be eligible to put on that sergeant stripe to become a non-commissioned officer. So in that course, they have a leader within each class. So whoever holds the most rank within that particular stripe, the most time in that grade, and that happened to be me in that particular class. That just means I held that stripe on for the longest within that class, and so that I held a rank leadership position, which is something that seemed to come natural, and it was quite fitting, I think, for me. It's something that I really do enjoy, is the challenge of leadership. I also enjoy following and serving under leadership, but I do enjoy the challenge of leading other men and women. And during that time in the military, I really did enjoy those responsibilities and challenges. And also, I had been through my own experiences of toxic leadership, and so I enjoyed the ability and an opportunity to try to give someone else a better opportunity, the opposite of toxicity or toxic leadership. So within this time, I came up with all different types of strategies to help our class become the most successful and effective that we could be in our class. And I really poured my heart into it. In fact, I probably poured more into leading these group of men and women than I did actually on my own test taking within the particular class. Now, I really focused on my appearance, my uniform, the way that I handled myself, the way that I led those particular people in that class. But I still gave a high effort. I did the best that I could from my own test, but some of that did kind of go by the wayside in order to really focus on leading the class. And those are just sacrifices and things. You know, hindsight's 20/20. There's things I would have done differently, but I did anyways pour myself into that. So anyways, that's enough of that rabbit trail. I put my soul and my heart into it. At the end of each class, there was a banquet. True military fashion. There was a banquet at the end of this class, and it was an awards banquet, as well as giving out certificates and honoring everyone who has successfully passed this phase of leadership and going to the next phase of leadership, hopefully becoming an NCO, a non-commissioned officer, as well as writing evaluations on those that you now legitimately can supervise on an admin level. So at this awards banquet, they were giving out all the different awards, the highest tests, basically kind of like the valedictorian awards, the leadership awards, the all different types of awards, even in an athletic program you might see, and most valuable player, all of that. At the end of the evening, they got to the last award, and then I didn't even get that award. I didn't get any of the awards. I didn't get not one award. And at the end of the evening, I guess my persona, my expression was, it kind of showed a little that I was a little hard on myself for not receiving one award. And so I was really proud of those that I led. I was proud of finishing the course, and that I did my best. But of course, I was being hard on myself because I was thinking, what could I have done differently? Maybe I didn't work as hard as I could have. And I was really placing my identity in one of those plaques and one of those awards, one of those trophies. And my instructor, who was a couple ranks ahead of us, the instructor of that particular course, noticed me off to the side and came up to me. And she came up to me. She was also happened to be a firefighter in the military. Amazing person. But she came up to me, and she took me by the hands, and she looked me square in the eyes, and she said, "I notice that you seem a little down." And she said, "I want to tell you something. You have nothing, absolutely nothing to be down about. You should be proud of what you've accomplished. Just take a look. Every single award that was passed out tonight, every single accomplishment that has been acknowledged, all of them, with the exception of one, have come from your class. There's no way that could have been done outside of your leadership. That is a direct reflection of what you did, of your leadership. You should be proud of that, regardless of whether that was acknowledged or not. Now, I had a good father in my house, a good mother. I had good role models when I ran track, and when I ran track for the Air Force as well as high school. And I understood this idea. But at this particular juncture in my life, that lesson was not applied, and I wasn't being as kind to myself as I should have. And I wasn't focusing on what really mattered. And I needed someone to help give me that perspective. And that's what she was doing right then and there. And I recognized, and I thought about it at first I was like, yeah, that's great, but I still would have liked to have one of those plaques. I always seem like the guy that doesn't get one of those plaques. But she was right. I was the leader of that class, and it was an unthanked type of service, a background type of service, but it's true. Those awards, a big portion of that was because of my leadership in that role. And that's what mattered. Those awards mattered for those people that got them, but what also mattered was my role, whether or not it was recognized or acknowledged. Now, what does this have to do with music? Well, to be truthful, I don't know, you could apply it in any different way. But when it comes to improvisation, when it comes to going to the next level, when it comes to getting to that higher tier that we would, I know this is all opinions, but anyways, when it comes to getting to that next level in music or any industry, there are the things that aren't always acknowledged. They're the things that aren't directly related, but they are a part of your personality and your mind. It's going to be near impossible to accomplish what you need to accomplish in that song, on that set, or in that industry, in that field, when you're tense, or when you're beating yourself up, when you're not fully focused. Your personality is a huge part of how you interpret the music that is going to be played, how you interpret what is going to happen, your confidence level. And your confidence level is directly related to what's going on in here and in here. And so it's important to focus on what really matters. And sometimes we have to take a step back and look at the big picture. For me, I was upset and beating myself up because I didn't get one of those plaques. What I didn't see, because my identity wasn't in that, was there was 12 or 13 or however many men and women in that class, and that received every single award. Out of 4 or 5 individual classes, my particular class received every single award. Every single one, with the exception of one. Every single one. They all got along with a high amount of chemistry. The chemistry was palpable. The love that was felt within that class. The laughs, the tears, the closeness. There were issues of race, issues of gender. And this has been nearly 20 years ago. I believe it's probably been about 17 years ago at least that this took place. But I still remember it. And I remember those words of my instructor as she came and grabbed my hands and looked me square in the eyes. And here's the kicker. I didn't fully appreciate her words, her taking the time to do that as much then. But as the years went by, they began to blossom in my heart, and I really began to understand what it was that she was doing. I didn't think that I was really beating myself up that much, but she could see that. And that mattered in how I took ownership of my role. Sometimes when our identity is in another area where things that matter but don't matter as much for what your particular purpose is, what your calling is. Everyone has an individual calling and role and purpose and passion, and we all may have those for different seasons of our life. We may be them and take turns being those. It's just as important as understanding your rudiments, understanding the sight reading, understanding your music theory, memorizing and rehearsing and practicing the song. Just important as all that is the mental aspect, the confidence, the relaxation, understanding your role in the band, understanding your role in that studio session, understanding what you bring. And even if you don't know it, taking the time to relax and learn confidence. These things are important because they matter. And at the end of the day, these are the things that matter the most. What is your role in that? That does matter just as much as hitting every right note. Because if you're not being kind enough to yourself, if you're beating yourself up because you're focused on what may not matter as much as what does matter, you can't get to the big picture as well. But when you understand what your role is, you can walk in that in a little more confidence. Now, I think I did a good job overall because, like I said, even my instructor came and recognized it. But what would happen in the future if I didn't acknowledge what I was able to accomplish? That was huge. Here was 12 or 13 men and women that were able to really do well. And not that it's about the awards, but they came together tightly. What was beginning to happen was I was coming into who I really am and a big part of who I am and what I'm passionate about. And by being able to understand that and acknowledge that would set me up for things in the future. So don't beat yourself up if be careful what you're putting your identity in and how much. It's all about balance. Focus on the things that also really matter. Remember to be kind to yourself. Even if you don't win the plaque, the trophy, the award, look at the other things that are not on the award list. Were you one of the ones that helped everyone that come together and have chemistry? Were you one of the ones that helped allow other people to be free? If it's on a worship stage, are you the one that has great musical skill, but also the one that is comfortable in their own skin? And when you yell out, yeah, woo, or lift your hands, all of a sudden everyone's free to be themselves. Is that you? Are you a pivot man? Are you one of those people that gives permission for freedom in that role? That's just as important. That's just as important as winning that, being nominated for that Grammy. Pointing this person to that person is just as important as winning that award or being listed on those people. It's not easy. Sometimes we want to be acknowledged, and I think that's important too. But we also have to focus on those things that matter because they help us to walk into that role of who we really are. So this is something to think about, something to meditate on. A Selah moment, as those of us in the Christian faith, the biblical context likes to say. It's something to marinate on. And this can be put into any industry. And even though I like to focus on music because that's a big part of who I am professionally and emotionally, this is life. And there's more to life outside of that meter and those bars. That's what has to come in and be interpreted within the music. So hopefully this has helped you out in any way. Don't forget, my friends, if this helped you out in any way or you want to know when the next tutorial is coming, when the next music video is coming, when the next product review is coming, hit subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like this video, hit me up with a like. And if you hit a dislike, hey, I'm still going to love you. All right? God bless you. Have a smile upon you. See you soon.